Well, welcome back to iLead. And iLead, if this is your first time with us, is an extension, a trial run into the digital. Whoops, excuse me. Let me set that. I don't want that dinging in the middle of what we're trying to do here. But it's a trial run to say we transfer our lessons from Miami Lead, which was a regular gathering of business people who met each month with a desire to add value toward character and ethics in the marketplace. And we're taking that and just transferring it into a digital format for now, and just to see where it goes and if it's helpful. And our underlying belief is that everybody wins when a leader gets better. And so in an investment to help leaders get better, we try to bring actionable leadership insight that is ready to apply in the arenas of your life, at work, at home, at play, at worship. But primarily, we try to make sure it fits the marketplace where you serve. And our topic today, by the way, just thank you to those of you who are joining us today. I welcome your attendance and look forward to you participating. Hi, Levita White is my mother. Mother's watching. That's not an ominous, that's an encouragement. My mother's a great cheerleader. And then Sharon, glad you're here. God bless you. Others that'll be joining us, we're happy to welcome you. We try to cram this in to 15 minutes so that it can pack a powerful punch that you can then use, share with your friends. Hi, Gladys. Glad you're here. And our topic today is absolutely critical, essential to leadership. There is no leadership without it. There is no self-leadership. There's no team leadership. There's no change managing leadership. This is certainly a day for change management. There's no family leadership. There is no business or corporate leadership, no national or global leadership without what we're talking about today. Without this element, there is no leadership, period. Now, you may disagree with me on that. I know I can be wrong, but I don't think I am on this one. The item is courage. And if you'd like to follow along, there's a download available on this study guide that you can pick up right there at Lead Session 4, bit.ly/i Lead Session 4. And you're going to find it to be about courage. Courage is the topic today. The item is courage. Courage to show up, courage to step up, courage to speak up. Does anything change in our lives without courage? No. So let me ask you, how would you define courage? You want to jot that down real quickly? Or if you're with somebody watching together, just give them a definition. What does courage mean to you? And then try to put it into words. Or you might want to just put it into the chat here today. What does courage mean to you? Hi, Rolando. Glad that you're with us today. Appreciate your participation. How would you define courage? What does it look like to you? What words come to mind? And then if you want to throw them into the chat, that'd be helpful. Show up, step up, speak up. And what does it take to do that? Courage. Now, the working definition that I would provide for you today is this one. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting in spite of your fear. So in spite of your anxiety, in spite of your worry, in spite of your concern, in spite of your fear, courage is acting in spite of your fear. Whether you're making a sales presentation to a potential client, or you're supervising a team member about a difficult topic, or you're casting vision for a new horizon, or you're talking to your kids about drugs and alcohol, or about their use of the device, all the other hard topics that present themselves, courage is required. Think about this. Let me just ask you this. Does getting married require courage? Does acting in spite of your fears about whatever marriage means, does that require courage? Yes. Does speaking in public require courage? Does parenting require courage? Does talking to your boss require courage? Does passing the next required test require courage? Does believing you have what it takes require courage? Whatever the challenge, rising to the challenge, does it take courage not to stay stuck where you are or where you've been, to become more than what your limitations seem to allow? I collect leadership quotes. One of my favorite is from Helen Keller, American hero, struck by a virus at 19 months of age that took her sight, took her hearing, and yet she said this: the only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. Does it take courage to see beyond what your physical eyes show you when you look around you, when you look at the mirror? Yes, courage is what we're talking about. Does it take courage to have a new vision for your life wherever you've been stuck? And haven't we been stuck in COVID? It takes courage to press through, to get off dead center, to stop doing whatever you've been doing or not been doing and start doing the new thing when you're not even sure what's coming. It takes courage. Another one of my favorite quotes is from America's original cowboy president, Teddy Roosevelt. You love this one too. It's not the critic who counts, who points out where the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, makes mistakes, but who comes short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause, and who at best, in the end, knows the triumph of high achievement, or at worst, if he fails, read this with me, at least he fails while daring greatly. To fail while daring greatly requires courage. That's about courageous self-leadership, leadership that shows up, steps up, and speaks up in the national and global arena. In his life, he had some very hard times that he had to bounce back from. One of his biographies tells the story of how, as a little sickly and frail child, he had to endure teasing and ridicule, being made fun of. As a man, he experienced the double tragedy of loss when his mother and his wife both died in the same house on the same day. Can you imagine? 2 days after the birth of their only child. A later marriage would give him 5 children, one who lost a lifelong battle with alcohol and depression to suicide. Another one who was killed during aerial combat over Bastille, France. The question is raised, how do you keep on going in the face of loss and failure? And the answer is courage. Courage. Okay, where does that come from? Where does courage come from? Hi, Elizabeth. Glad that you're joining us today. The first answer is inspiration. I have 3 words for you. Inspiration is the first one. Inspiration means hearing and seeing others who are rising and conquering, and you want to find courage or strengthen what you've got, then do this. Put yourself where you will see it, hear it, and give yourself a chance to feel it. I'd put that in the I statement. Let's bring up the next. There you go. I must keep myself where I will see, hear, and give myself a chance to feel. That's about inspiration. Put yourself where, don't just settle for pastimes that are entertaining. Put yourself in places where you will be inspired, encouraged. Now, for us, that's what gathering as a church family does. Hearing the story of Pastor Ralph, Elizabeth, in your family, that inspires us, gives us courage. So don't compare yourself to somebody else, but let yourself imagine pushing through just like you hear others would do. Second answer is the word education. Education, inspiration, education. What does that mean? Well, if inspiration means witnessing the what, then education means learning the how. Leaders are learners. What are we learning? Well, we're learning new ways of thinking, of perceiving, of understanding, and of behaving. So that's the key to building your courage. I must learn new ways of thinking, perceiving, understanding, and behaving. Whenever you hear yourself saying this, oh, it's just the way I am, don't believe it. There are ways to be different. Education, inspiration, learning skills and techniques and ways to survive failure, how to communicate more effectively, how to listen. One of our earlier iLead lessons was on listening effectively. Did I already tell you this? I don't think so online yet. You know why Goliath was surprised that day on the battlefield with David? Nothing like that had ever entered his head before. Of course, if you're new to the Bible story, I got to remind you that David took the giant Goliath down with a sling and a little stone rightly placed. If you want to find more courage, then let new stones enter your head. Think in new ways. How'd you like that for a reverse metaphor? To strengthen what you've got, you got to be a learner, and let new ideas get into your head. I recently read the book, The Obstacle is the Way. The Obstacle is the Way. The title was The Timeless Art of Turning Trials into Triumph. So instead of thinking as the obstacle as being in your way, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, he was the last of the good Roman emperors, by the way, 5 good Roman emperors, believed that the obstacle could be embraced as the way forward and you could grow into the future. How do you do that? Find a mentor, take a new class, get some training. Competence produces confidence, and then confidence brings courage that pushes through fear. So let me give you a definition for fear. FEAR, false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. When you feel afraid, you know the feeling, but don't trust it to be telling you the whole truth. I have a friend who has served as the longest volunteer at Baptist Hospital in Miami, 50 years of volunteering. But this is what he says. He's an extraordinary man. Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. That brings us to the third lesson, application. I must take action in spite of my fear. To do what? Well, now we're back to what we started with, to show up, to step up, to speak up. And one place, where we need to speak up is in our own self-talk. What's self-talk? You ever hear a voice speaking to you in your head? I heard somebody say, you talk to yourself? And they said, oh yeah, all the time. I rather enjoy intelligent conversation. The truth is that it's not always so intelligent, right? The truth is that most people speak. Here's what psychologists say. Most of us speak at a rate of 120 words per minute when we're talking like this. But psychologists say that when it comes to self-talk, when we talk to ourselves in our heads, we do it at a rate of about 1,300 words a minute. And they say this, about 70% of our self-talk is usually negative. Negative. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, you're second guessing yourself. Oh, what a jerk I was. It's self-condemning. It's self-defeating. Sometimes what you say is what you get. And so in order to have a new change in life, the way we think, here's what the scripture says, as a man thinks, that's how he is. So we got to replace that self-talk with some positive understanding. If that's true about you, it's time to do some different self-talk. Replace your defamation of your character, your own character, with some inspiration, with some education, affirmation, and then what? Step up. Speak up to yourself, step up to the challenge, push through your fear, which is what? False evidence appearing real. Don't trust it. Push through it and see if that ghost disappears as you take action. And then what? That courage turns into confidence, a new competence that can lead the way into a new future. And then rinse and repeat. Just try this for a week, rinse and repeat, and then see what happens. Try what? Inspiration. That will expose you to a new what you could have. Education. That'll teach you some new how to get there. How do I get there from here? And then application. That's where you do the action that pushes through the fear. Remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting in spite of your fear. Or, as my dad's hero, John Wayne, put it, Courage is being scared to death and saddling up anyway. I just want to ask God's blessing upon you so that whatever challenge you're facing in whatever arena of life, and you show the courage to get in to the blood, the sweat, the tears, the dust, that God will grant you grace and blessing to know the joy of success. And even if it doesn't come the first time, then to know the power of daring greatly. Hope you have a great week, and I'll look forward. Hopefully, we'll see where we go next, but let's stay tuned. And I really appreciate you joining us for these little journeys. Oh, Lisa's doing great. I mean, if we still have time for me to let you know, Lisa's doing well. Thank you.